I'm going to say something very controversial. You don't need a new pattern every time you want to make something new. Patterns can be used over and over again. You can morph them. You can Franken pattern them with another pattern. You need to learn how to take a pattern and move it forward if you want to be more economical as a sewist. So before we get into the pattern, I just want to talk about this top. This is my first go round with 7056, and it is a really interesting cowl neck with a collar. I have some beautiful silk that I got in Cambodia that I want to make with it. This was an old sheer that I had lying around. I think the sheer doesn't have enough drape. It's not horrible, but it's a little stiff. And I think with a softer fabric, it will look really well because it's got this really interesting collar and then the cowl neck. So it just, for me, I think I need to make a few fitting adjustments, and that will happen before I make the next one. Let's talk about these pants, right? My tablecloth pants. I bought a linen tablecloth at the BRIMFIELD fair, which is in southern central Massachusetts, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I don't even remember. I paid $7 for it because the tag was still on it before I washed them. And I'm going to use Butterick 7045. So let's talk about the pants that I did make from that pattern. I made these beautiful pants with this gorgeous fabric from Minerva. And I like the way they fit. I like the way they flow. But these pants have a waistband. They have a fly front and full-on pockets. They're fit great and they're absolutely lovely, but it's more work than I wanted to put into a pair of linen pants. I really wanted these pants to be kind of casual and easy. So we took the length, width, basically this pattern, except I ditched the zipper, put in an elastic waist, and I absolutely love the way these pants come out. They're super casual, but yet stylish. We're seeing a lot of this cutout detail, super comfy and flowy. You can see them here. I love them. So let's get into how to actually take a pattern that we love, tweak it just a little bit. I didn't do much. I took the zipper out, put a seam in there, and added an elastic waistband. Essentially the same pants. I still have pockets in them. I still did the side pockets. Everything else is the same except for the waistband, and they look like a totally different pair of pants, right? That's the goal when we sew. Let's talk a little bit about pants construction. Now, essentially, there's 3 seams in the pants. There is the crotch seam, the inside leg seam, and the outside leg seam. And in general, you can sew them in any order you wish. Now, with this pattern, I'm using this pattern, the pants basically loosed on this pattern. This has a fly front. So you have to do the crotch seam first because you need to sew this while you don't have all this extra pieces floating around. So you do the crotch seam first on that. That makes a lot of sense. And also I'm going to add pockets. So I need to add the pockets to the side seams before I close up the side seams. However, if you were doing a cargo pant, you would want to sew the side seam up first because typically a cargo pant has a big baggy pocket that goes over the side seam. So you would sew the side seam first and then leave the pants open, put the pocket on, and then sew the inside or the inseam. So you can go in any order that makes you feel comfortable. For these lace tablecloth pants, I am going to put the side pockets on. So we have these little side pockets here. And then I am going to sew the side seam and the inseam. So I'll have a left and a right. So I'm going to sew the left front and the left back together and the right front and the right back together. And then I will show you how they fit together to sew the crotch seam. So I'm going to end up with 2 legs, each with a pocket in them. I have 2 legs, and each leg has a front and a back and a pocket. There's my pocket hanging out. And right now they are both right sides in. I'm going to turn one leg right side out. So the right side is facing me. And I have my one leg where the right side is on the inside. I'm going to take my leg that the right side is on the inside, and I'm going to stuff the one that the right side is on the outside inside. Does that make sense? So essentially we're putting the right sides together. All right, so we're going to start by matching up the edge where the waistband is on one side. And we're going to work our way down. And this inside leg seam, when I pressed them, I pressed one seam going to the front and one seam going to the back. So when I put them together, I can line these two seams up and just kind of butt them together with my fingers. They will be nice and snug. And what that does is it gives me a really nice crosshatch when the pieces come together. And I'm going to go back up to the front, the other side. Make sure that the ends where my waistband is going to be meet. I have motifs on this I'm trying to line up. Oop, there's my dog. And yeah, so they fit together perfectly. And this is what it looks like. You have this kind of U going on. Right, and you're going to sew this U seam, this U seam. You're going to sew it, and since it's the crotch seam, it's best if you sew it and either overlock it or sew it a second time. It just gives you a little extra protection. So let's see what it looks like when we come back. And you sew this crotch seam, and then you just invert them. Voila, fluffy. You have pants. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? I just love that method. I think it's so easy, and you have a good solid seam through the crotch. And if you sew it once and then sew it a second time, or in this case, I used my step zigzag because it's ravelly. I don't know if you can see it there. I used my step zigzag all the way around, or you could use an overlocker. It gives you an extra layer of protection in case the seams let go when you sit down. So my pants are done. I tried them on. I'm really happy with the way they fit. They are a little long, so I'm going to have to hem them, and then I need to add an elastic waistband. So I caught a piece of fabric, and it's too wide, obviously, right now. But I just cut this whole piece of fabric here, and I think I'm just going to use the plain side. I have a piece of 1.5 inch elastic. Recut this, so this is 1.5 inches. I'm going to cut this at 3 inches with 1/2 inch of wiggle space, so that's 3.5 inches plus 2 1/2 inch seam allowances. That's 4.5 inches. So I'm going to cut a strip that's 4.5 inches wide. All right, so I made my 4.5 inch strip. It's folded over. It has plain, it has no embellishments on it, and I'm just going to walk it along the top of my pants, and I need to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so I'm going to cut it here. It's that simple. You want it the same size as your pants because you need to get this over your hip. The elastic, however, if I fold my elastic in half, you can see that it's shorter and it's going to stretch. It's shorter by about 3 inches. So that's going to stretch, and that's what's going to bring this in and give it a waistline. It's that simple. I'm going to sew this seam up, fold this in half, put my elastic, sew my elastic together. All right, I sewed my casing into a circle, and I sewed my elastic into a circle and encased it inside of the casing. And I like to just do a little stitch inside the seam allowance because you can see that the casing is bigger than the elastic, and it just makes it one unit now when I go to apply it to my pants. I have one seam on this, and then the other side directly opposite that is my center front, and my seam is going to be my center back, so I'm going to start there, and I'm just going to pin this to my pants. Pin it to the back. If you're at all nervous, you can do quarter seams. We've done those before, but I'm just going to do a half seam with these and then pin them all the way around. And this is why we want the casing to be the same size. We kind of have to open the elastic up as we go, but the casing should be the same size as the opening of the pants. And then after I've stitched this and finished the seam, at the front, at the back and at the sides, I'm going to run a seam in the ditch on here because that will help keep the elastic from twisting when I wash it. So that makes a big difference. They are super comfy. This is a linen tablecloth that I got at the Brimfield Fair years ago, paid $7 for it. And they turned out absolutely wonderful. I mean, the movement on these pants is great. So any kind of fabric, I mean, this is linen and it's a pretty hefty linen. So any kind of fabric would work really well with them. I just have a cute little pair of leopard mules on. They're slides. They're from Target last year. And then this I have had in my wardrobe for such a long time. I can't even remember, and I wasn't able to wear it because it didn't fit, but now it fits, so I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, super cute. Love these pants. They are so comfortable. Let's try them on with a jacket. So this jacket is Vogue 2134. And I did a tutorial, a sew along on this that, because it's a shirt and the zipper goes up the back and I turned it around and put it in the front. So now it's a jacket. So this will bring it into evening. Yeah, I'm really, really liking these pants. These are super cute.